2023 annual meeting. And so again, thank you for coming. My name is Stephanie Davis. We're going to go through a couple of slides. I'll do some introductions, and then we've got some updates, some development updates, and then we've got some Q&A. We're going to get through everything that we have with the questions that were presented. If we've got time, we'll go ahead and take questions from the floor. And then we will do some online if we have time. Any question that is not answered tonight, if you submitted your questions, you will be getting information from the Community Life team directly just answering those questions. And if you think of anything after this, please feel free to reach out to me and I will definitely get that information for you. So we'll go ahead and just make some introductions tonight. We have Brad Shelton here, who's the division president with Brookfield. And we have Matt Chase, who's the vice president of Community Association.
Just real quick, those of you all remember Matt McCafferty, the guy that normally would sit here to my left. He's actually no longer in the Austin division. He still works with us at Brookfield, but he has moved on to our Houston team. So you won't be seeing him sitting next to me anymore. You get this guy instead for a little bit.
Interim.
He's very clear. Interim.
But I did want to go ahead and let everyone know your board of directors is Matt Chase. We have Paige Wilkerson, and we also have Blake McAllister. We have the Community Life team, which I think everybody knows us. We are the ones that are here, and they can see us around the union and out in the community. Again, my name is Stephanie Davis. We have Paul and Liza, who's here as well. And then I did want to let everybody know, we have two new team members that have joined us just recently, and so you may have seen some new faces around here. We have Emily, that is a new ambassador that actually works at the welcome desk. So please stop by, say hello to her. And then we have Jody that has actually joined our facilities team. So you'll see them around the union and out and about in the community as well. So please wave to them. They'll wave back, I promise. And then we're going to go ahead and kind of go over the agenda tonight. So you'll, like I said earlier, you'll get updates from the Community Life team, as well as the engagement team and then the development team, and then we will go into Q&A. So we'll start with the Community Life team. Wanted to talk about just a couple of things that we kind of put out in the last couple of months. You'll probably remember seeing some emails about the Pulse survey. Last year it was the livability survey. This year is the Pulse survey. This year we got about 9% participation in this. It's low. It's lower than what it has been in the past. But this was actually put out because we truly value your feedback. And this is something that we put out because we want to know where we're at. And this helps us set the metrics and goals for your Community Life team of what we are able to do and what we can improve on for you. This survey kind of gave some information about the community engagement, the events that we have here, what you like, as well as the communication that you have, what you would prefer to see from us, and if there's anything that we can improve on. So just know that this was created from the development team and the Community Life team with these questions. So when you get them, please answer them. They do absolutely help us, and we do value everything that you give us. With that, we also put out quarterly polls, and this is just kind of a check-in in the year on different topics to make sure that we are moving forward with the things that you would like to see. So previously we did a community engagement one, and then we've recently issued one on communication. The communication one is actually still open. So if you can go in, if you've not taken that survey, if you'll click on the link, we will be putting it out in this Friday's Pulse also again. Please go in. This actually lets us know how you like the communication, what you're actually, the information you would like to see in our newsletter or in the Pulse, or what you'd like to see more of. A couple of other things that's not on here, and I just wanted to kind of touch base on is there were some questions that we've gotten recently, and some of the questions that we hear a lot just from day to day is about compliance. And how do we go about our enforcement, and what is the process? And so I wanted to just kind of talk through that for a little bit. With compliance, it is one of those things that everybody knows that we should be in compliance year-round. We have guidelines for Easton Park that are set when your development is actually being created. That's part of your governing documents that you get. They're not set by the community life team, but we are here to enforce the guidelines that are set within the documents. So when we get questions about certain things of, are we seeing the unmaintained yards or the trash cans? We absolutely are. We're in the community every single week. We may not see everything every single day. So we get emails from you, and we absolutely want those. What we are actually doing is creating a button on our resident portal that's actually going to be an easier way for you to actually report those to us now, instead of having to send an email. With that, there will be some required fields, which will actually help gather the information we need in order to actually move forward with any enforcement that we need. There will be an option for you to add pictures to that also. Just know that whenever we are trying to get the information for enforcement, there's information that we absolutely need in order to be able to move forward with that. To tell me that it's a car that's around the corner doesn't give me enough information, or to say that, you know, we saw somebody that didn't have their dog on the leash, but we saw them on SkyTech and they were wearing blue jeans. That doesn't give us enough information in order for us to move forward with that enforcement. So we may come back with questions, but please note, we do take that all very serious, and we absolutely want to take that information and enforce what we possibly can, but we do need help from you sometimes when you're reporting that. Also with compliance, there is difference in compliance when we talk about unkept yards or trash cans being left out versus maybe something that's happening in the community that we need something to immediately stop. Let's say somebody building something in your backyard or in their backyard right next to you, and they haven't gone through the proper process, and we need immediate action on that to stop. We have certain guidelines that we have to follow per state statute as far as the violation letters that are actually sent. So there's different ones that have to be sent. I don't know if you want to touch base on this just a little bit, but.
Yeah, you know, when we send something out, the language is strong. I mean, some of us has probably seen, if you haven't paid your assessment on time, you get a late notice. The wording is very strong. It tells you there's possibility that you're going to get all these fines and that a lien can be placed on your house, et cetera. That's all required by civil code. We don't make up the words that go into those letters. That's all required by civil code. It's the same thing with the violation notices. That's all required by civil code. They tell us what we have to put in there. And there's like Stephanie was saying, there's different levels of violation, right? If you have your trash can out too long, you're going to get one that says, hey, make sure you don't do it again. And if you do, this is the fine process for that. But again, if you're building a third story on your house, let's say, and you didn't get approval, you're not going to get a violation letter. You're going to get a letter from the attorney that is a cease and desist that's telling you, you need to stop what you're doing now. And if you don't, this is what's going to happen if you don't stop doing what you're doing. So there are two differences in that. What I ask, if you ever receive a letter, pick up the phone, call this team here, because the whole point of that letter is to start a dialogue. It's not to put you in your place. It's not to say, we got you. It's no, let's start a dialogue. It's just state law requires that we follow a certain process. And if we don't, then that person building that addition onto the house can just keep building their addition as we're having a dialogue. So we first have to start with the enforcement process, and then we can continue on with that conversation. So we just want to make sure that everybody in the community understands that. And just because you get a letter doesn't mean that, well, that's it. It's done for. No, pick up the phone and call, because it's an invitation. The very last line on there actually says you have 30 days to have a hearing. And during that hearing, you sit down with myself and the rest of the board. And again, we have a conversation about that violation, or even an architectural item. You know, if the architectural item was disapproved by the architectural committee, which is all your neighbors, by the way. So the architectural committee is made up of residents. That's not the board that sits on that, or the developer, or any part of that for resident submissions. If they deny it and they can't grant variances because our documents say that that committee can't grant variances, it comes to the board and they bring it to myself and I'll review it. And if we have to have a hearing with the individual to talk and say, hey, why do you want to do this? We do that. So again, it's all about communication. If you ever receive something like that, please reach out to Tiffany and the team and Chris, who's not here. We're happy to talk through those with everybody.
Next, we actually are going to talk about the leadership program that we started, and Christine's gonna step up.
To go in detail.
There's
with
many
this
faces
video.
here that probably remember me and some that are new to Easton Park and probably aren't familiar with me yet. My name is Christine Schweitzer and I was once in Tiffany's role. And I actually assumed a different role with my company Go Here, and I work regionally to support our teams across Texas. So I'm still very much involved with Easton Park, and this leadership program is something very near and dear to me because it's been on our strategic plan for this community for the past 2 years. So it's finally coming to life and we are ready to kick this off, and I'm here to share with you what that is. So the Easton Leadership Program, or our Park Pioneers, we're going to have our first year-long course. It's a series of classes that will take place from February through November. We will actually open applications beginning in October of this year. We are going to accept 10 to 12. The purpose of this class is to provide you with the ability to perform in Easton Park as featured leaders for the community. So we cover a wide range of topics, from current leadership roles and responsibilities to self-leadership, to learning about the governance, the community operations, and then also projects around communications itself. There's a variety of topics to be shared with you all. And it's something that we're going to actually have annual. So even in this first year, you're not able to or didn't make it into the first class, this is an annual offering that we'll have. And then our expectation is that each graduating class will come back and actually mentor and be part of classes in years going forward. So just to give a heads up, this first year, we definitely want to first give seats to our existing volunteers. We think it's very important to empower them, since they're already holding leadership positions in the community, empower them with the knowledge, the vision, the understanding of the planning around the community itself. And then once we've filled those seats, then we'll open it up and take applications from everyone else. So it's something we've talked about even in town halls and amongst ourselves in the past, but it's finally here and we're super excited. So stay tuned. Like I said, October is when we'll start pushing out some information about this, and I look forward to engaging with you all on a deeper level around all of this. Thank you. Now we're going to go.
So y'all, we've been, Marlene and I, we support the community engagement initiatives here, and we are extremely excited and eager to announce all of the upcoming events. We have a list of the upcoming events in September, and some of these were designed and programmed based on the quarterly poll that we have recently. So we value your feedback and we implemented it in for the rest of this year. We started off with Sweet Treat Social. So now we come to the neighborhoods and provide pop-up events. Going down the list to Savory's Farmers Market, that was a huge need and want for our community. Now that happens on a monthly basis. So if you haven't been able to join the farmers market, it's out in the Union parking lot where there are local vendors and partners. So a wide range of orange oils to CBD to dog treats and pet food, a plethora of amazing vendors. As we go down, we have our pooch party coming up on the 18th, so that is our dog park party. We have the vets, who is our community partner. They go to your home, they provide wellness exams, preventative maintenance and all those things, and they are sponsoring that event. On September 22nd is our Explorers Day. And that really is for both new and current homeowners to get engaged with our community life team, to meet other neighbors, and then more importantly, get in touch with our community partners who are present at that event. The following day is our Little Explorers Walk. So this engages our youth on an educational and science nature program throughout our trail system between Bryant Park and Knob Hill. And again, to say that all this programming stems from y'all's insight, we highly value that. So anytime that we put on an event, we're always enhancing it to meet y'all's needs. And on that note, we'll go to some other additional events that we put on. So again, Farmers Market is our new event. The UBU Pride Celebration, the Easton Park Pride Group. We have someone here, and this was our first inaugural event to celebrate Pride Month. So in that event, we had 5 drag queens, we had a singer and a DJ. We also partnered with Out Youth and ended up donating close to $1,400 to the nonprofit. And including, we were able to raffle off some prizes. And we partnered with all LGBTQ friendly founders of these different organizations. So that was an inaugural event that we've never done before, and it was a huge success. So thanks to the Easton Park Pride Club. The other ones that we haven't done before are the Summer Night Stars. So we had a photo of it in the previous slide, and that was at Knob Hill. That was a astronomy and science nature programming. That was a great turnout for families. And then the next event, we had Brews and Barbecue. That was a Father's Day event with all the dads for Moody's Barbecue, and we had games and activations. But needless to say, all the fun engagement that we have planned. For the rest of the year, we have some of our signature events. So the biggest one that is coming up is Wicked Walk. So that is in on our Great Lawn Pavilion area throughout the trail system. So we'll have food trucks, sweet treat booths, we'll have games, activations, movies. All of our community partners will have booths there, and including we are asking your neighborhood and residents as individuals to help support our events. So if you want to help pass out candy, help tear down and set up, or have a booth, we are more than welcome to accept your support in any way that you can contribute. We're also carrying on another tradition as our Dunkin' for Pumpkins. So that is an opportunity for the youth to go out in the pool, grab a pumpkin and then decorate it and take it home. Following that, we have Oktoberfest, which we're partnering with our beer club to have a plethora of beers for that month. And then upcoming, we'll have National Night Out, which is a chance for our community to engage with our first responders. So we'll have EMS, the Sheriff's Department, APD, and the Fire Department out here to explore the truck, and then also to meet our residents. Following that, we have the turkey truck. So that is our signature November marathon. We're going to partner with our residents to help facilitate that. And then excitingly, we have our holiday event. So last year we took into consideration and how we program and design the holidays. So last year we incorporated 7 different religions and cultures that are in December. And so we're going to continue that tradition out by the Great Lawn. So there will be more opportunities to help support and engage with our events. So we have a ton of events that are exciting. So that could not be done without either your insight or support. So both we welcomely accept.
Thanks, Paul. So Brad was just pointing out something to me as he was going through this. There's 10 events coming up in September. I mean, I get to work with Paul quite often, so I forget how much work he does and the amount of events and cool things that he does out here in this community. So thank you. That's a great job. Thank you. Oh, and I guess it's me still. Okay.
boxes out here that will start in the middle of September, so just be on the lookout, for that as well. Now we're rolling to development update.
Okay, so this is going to be short and sweet, but a cool update. So hopefully some of y'all have seen this on our social media pages already, but this is Skyline Park. This is our newest amenity, a high dollar amenity, about 13 million, give or take, on this new park. So you can see some of the elements that are going to be going on, and the folks in the room here will be able to see me point out a few things. But obviously we'll be having a splash pad in the new park. It's going to have a whole bunch of different elements. When we were going through and discussing what type of splash element to have in the community, I'm going to point them out because Brad was the one who actually said this. He wanted everything. He wanted water going this way, this way, this way, this way. He wanted it going all over the place. Instead of, most water splash pads like this, it's either up or side. It's not going all over the place. So they designed this really cool feature, water going everywhere. You have hills and everything for the kids and the kids at heart to be able to run around and play in. Natural shading, so there'll be a lot of trees out there. And then you can get a sneak peek of what the playscape is going to look like all the way in the back there. And you can see that big red structure that starts here, and then there's a line, and then there's an end, because it's a zip line. So one of the elements in the park, and you can kind of see what the playscape in the back will look like. Again, this is all, we're still finalizing all of this, so it's not 100%, but we're pretty close to it. Up above on the top right, you can see a cool little area where I know Paul is going to be utilizing the heck out of that for a lot of community events. You can definitely see concerts in the park, movies in the park, and a whole bunch of other cool stuff happening out there. We'll also move our tree lighting ceremony out there as well during the holidays. We'll be up in Skyline Park. And then this is kind of just a broad overview of the entire layout of the park, so you can see the restrooms. This really cool designed structure for shade. Over here you can see, so this is for the smaller kids on the left, on the far left there. That's the playground for the smaller kids, and then you have the bigger kids park play equipment, and then you have the splash pad here, and everybody's favorite thing, the parking lot, with the roundabout, because we all love roundabouts. Yeah, so just a quick overview. Obviously, we'll be sending out more information throughout the development of that park and the building of that. There's a few questions that I'm not going to answer tonight, or that I'm going to answer now, not later on the Q&A about it. So one is, when does it start? We're hoping to break ground next month. And when does it complete? We're not going to tell you yet. So simple answer to both. Like I said, we'll provide updates as the construction goes along, but it's Austin, Central Texas. Weather plays a big role in what we do out here. So we don't want to say, this time next year or anything like that. We'll update you all as that park progresses, and once we get a firmer feel for when that grand opening can happen. All right.
So I think we can run into your.
And I'm sorry, you all saw, we're saving the tree. That tree was never, I just want to make sure everybody knows that tree in the original design, there was a miscommunication with the designer and the engineer. The engineer said tree stays, designer didn't see that note and just drew some lines on a piece of paper, and that's what was submitted. That had actually been identified, and the tree was not going anywhere months ago. So I know our amateur sleuths in the community found that and said, no, you're taking it. No, it was never meant to go. It's just the document that was submitted was a first draft. There are many, many drafts that happen after that first permitting draft goes in. So, but thank you. You know, we want to hear the feedback from the community. And again, let us know. Reach out to us first, and we're happy to have that dialogue with y'all. Yeah.
Is where will the permanent dog park be, and will it be for Easton Park residents only?
So I know we've answered the first question several times, and we don't know yet. We still got some legs on this community. There's still a lot of areas to develop. That area hasn't been found or spotted yet. So once we do, we'll definitely give that information out to you all. And then for the second part of that question, actually, I think that's the first time that's been asked. Again, we don't know. So all the parks in this community are public parks. They're owned by the MUD, maintained by the association. All the improvements are the associations to maintain and manage. So depending on where that dog park ends up is whether or not it would be a private dog park or a public dog park. But again, it's determining location first, which will inform that decision.
The next one we've answered, and so we'll move to the next one, is what is planned for Skyline Park, which we've answered that unless we've got anything.
Yeah, and I missed one, and you could kind of see it, and it was just a placeholder, and there's going to be some public art in the park as well. So we have a want to add some of that art within the community. If you haven't been to Discovery Park, you can see one of the art pieces out there. So that you'll continue to see that throughout the community as well.
What other types of amenities are coming to Easton Park in the future?
To be determined. So we listen to community feedback, and like I said, this community has a lot of legs, and there's some spaces coming up in the future of this community that we'll be taking a look at for future amenities. But right now, Skyline Park is our focus. Those aren't on the drawing board yet. So trust me, once we do, you will know, because we want everybody to know, right? So once we're in a place to provide that, we will. One of the things we ask, and Tiffany kind of touched on it, this year we did a pulse survey for livability. So it was a shorter version of that survey for those of you that have taken the longer version. Next year, we'll do the longer version of that survey. Please fill that out. I say it every year. I know I'm a broken record on this, but please fill it out. We do use that information to inform us, plus the shorter surveys. I know an amenity survey was sent out a while ago about, sports things and stuff you'd like to see in parks. So as we get closer to that, we'll be taking that feedback into account as we're designing any future spaces.
And I'd like to add to that, please feel free to reach out to me with any feedback that you have. I meet with the development team frequently, and I give the feedback to them also. So they're getting it in multiple different ways. So please feel free to reach out to me as well on that.
Yep. She bothers me every week.
Next question is, what businesses will be coming to the commercial development, and how are they selected?
So commercial side, we sell the land to a commercial developer. We do not choose who goes in and what it is. So that's part one. Part two is the number of doors and the number of rooftops in this community plays a big role in which commercial companies will come out here. So as this community grows, you're going to start seeing more and more diverse. And that's our goal, is for more diverse commercial options out here, retailers. There's parts of this community, there's definitely gonna be enough retail out here so that you can live, work, and shop in the community and play. But as far as how do we select them, we don't. That's not on our plate. We sell those plots of lands to a commercial developer.
Next question is, what will be replacing the IPS school?
So I know we've been talking about this almost a year now, when y'all heard from IDEA that they won't be building the school. It's the same right now. We're working with IDEA to see what the future of that lot is going to look like. So no movement as of yet, but we are in talks and discussing it with IDEA School actively. So
What are the development plans adjacent to Discovery Park neighborhood?
all right, this is a long one because there's a lot. So it's surrounded on each side by Skyline Park, the park, Skyline Park, the school, Future Prospect Park, which will be a new section. I believe there's 800.
Yeah, 790 lots. That's what you see currently under construction right now with all the big yellow equipment east of Apogee.
So it will be the largest in the city history for the amount of lots going down on the ground at one time is Prospect Park. So that's what's going to be next to Discovery Park. There'll be some open space, drainage areas, which are kind of already there. We'll have a BB Living. We'll be constructing for some home for rent home options out there. I don't want you to think of Goodnight Ranch. If you're driven by Urbana, that is not what is coming into this community. These are going to look, feel, and live just like everybody else's house out here. That was a requirement, and they're fulfilling that. And then David Weekley is also going to be building some attached and detached condos in that same area next to where we're currently doing the urban homes as well.
Next question is, will a tree line be planted between Nob Hill and the new lanes for William?
No, Travis County will not allow us to plant trees in the row. It's within the crash zone, so they're saying no trees. So you will not see trees in that area.
Are there future plans to plant trees along SkyTech?
Same. It's the same answer on there. But there will be blocks of condos that'll have trees in front of their homes out there, but they won't be in that right away in the row.
With the water restrictions and severe drought, are there plans to allow for more xeriscaping in the residence yards?
We already have a xeriscaping policy in the design document. So yeah, just submit your design if you want a xeriscape. You know, if you're asking if you could put putt green in front of your house, I'm going to say no. But we're willing to work with you on and whatever the city regulations are on turf and things like that, or just full xeriscaping. Yeah, we're open to it. It's in the document. So. No, I think we've answered this one a few times, but no, there are no plans for that.
Does Easton Park plan to have more streetlights?
Again, we've answered this one a few times too. So Easton Park is dark skies compliant, so we follow those guidelines. So there won't be any additional streetlights.
What is the timeline for the traffic signal at William Cannon and Fulton Bluff?
So if you can't tell, I'm cheating and I'm reading stuff here, and this entire answer has been cut in half. So because it's a big one. So you'll see the poles go up in October, but the operation of the actual signal is determined by Travis County. So everything will be constructed, but Travis County at the end of the day makes the call as to when that signal gets activated.
So maybe if I can add, sorry, go ahead.
October, early October.
Let me just add to what Matt said as it relates to that intersection. That's been a topic of conversation in this community for a very long time. We have advocated extremely strongly with Travis County. Members of this community have advocated with us for that. That's why we were able to advance the construction of that signal into October of this year. So it's not for lack of trying. Everybody in this room, including Brookfield, wants that signal there tomorrow if we can get it. We just have to convince the county to allow us to install that signal before their engineering manuals would otherwise say it's needed. For those of us that live here and work here, we know that is needed today. Travis County has a manual that says, well, the traffic count has to hit X before we can install the signals. And we're just saying that's That's not good enough. We need to advance that. So we've worked with our elected officials. We've worked with department leaders at the county to advance this to this stage. I just want everybody to know that we're on the same page here. This is something that we think is incredibly important.
Will there be a wall and fence extension at the new entrance to Nob Hill?
No, and I'm guessing it's just, yeah, no, there won't be.
I can't picture that.
Yeah, I can
in my
picture
mind.
where a wall or fence would be extended. But if the individual that asked that question, if you're online watching or watch this later, if you can reach back out to Tiffany, maybe to expound on that a little bit, we'll be happy just to answer you directly. Yeah, they'll stay open. There won't be any covers out there in Kiki Park.
Are there plans to work with Del Valley ISD to have standard bus stops throughout the community and have benches and enclosures added?
There's no engagement currently. I'm not a father, so I don't know as much about schools, but I am on my neighborhood Facebook page. And so I hear this quite often, and it has to do with as neighborhoods grow and as needs grow, where the bus stops tend to change as the community is growing. So it might be here for 2 years, and then 2 years from now, it might be 3 blocks down is where the kids all need to be picked up. So doing anything permanent we'd be chasing our tails, deconstructing and reconstructing items. So yeah, there's no plans to do that.
Can I add to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I am a father. I have 3 young kids that ride the bus to and from school every day. And so what Matt said is exactly right, but I'll add that we have a very good relationship with Principal Frito as well as the district leadership, and we're working very closely with them on a number of issues, traffic being one of them. So we've talked with them at length about our shared desire to have a school zone, our shared desire to have stop signs, at that intersection. And so we're working alongside of them to make the community as safe as it can be for little ones that are walking to and from school, parents that might be picking up or dropping off either on foot or in a car. And again, that's very high on our priority list as well. Similar as the traffic signal at William Cannon and Colton Bluff, we have to work with Travis County, who is the owner of those streets and applies the rules and regulations on when different traffic calming improvements are allowed. And so we're working hand in glove with the district to approach the county on those same topics.
Will the retention ponds in Kiki Park and Discovery Park be with water and have fountains like the other?
No, those are retention, not detention ponds. So it holds the water for a bit. They're designed to hold the water for a little while, and then it dissipates and it runs into the creek. I don't know which creek that is. Cottonmouth, I'm assuming.
Eventually.
Yeah, eventually. But yeah, no, they're not designed to hold water permanently.
Are there plans to install a stop sign at Union Park Drive and Potomac Shores?
Currently there isn't. It's outside of the current construction plans. But we can approach the county and request a stop sign once construction is completed, but it's not in the current program. Is that you?
Are there plans for a painted crosswalk and pedestrian side at William Cannon and Cardinal Blue?
So we, just like Brad was discussing with Colton Bluff and William Cannon, the association doesn't own the street. The developer doesn't own the street. The street's owned by the county. So there is plan for a signal to be installed there once traffic warrants. You've heard this before. But we're not opposed to working with the county to see if we can at least put some lights on or some lanes in the road. If they'll let us go out and paint them and put some crosswalk signs up. I personally went and walked it the other day and didn't realize that we had cuts on both sides. So it's a crosswalk in every way except for the safety measures. So we totally agree with that assessment. So we're willing to get with the county to see if we can put some type of safety measure in place. Because even when William Cannon opens, then you have 4 lanes of traffic that you're trying to cross, and if there's not a light there, it's the same situation that we have here at Colton and William Cannon. So we'll definitely look into that. And then on a side note, to that, we are redoing the landscape out there to make that crossing a little safer, as safe as you can. So we are starting that project in September. You'll see some of those desert willows, I believe they're called, will be removed, and some new landscaping will be put up in that crossing area. Beyond that, the trees, all that's staying, but in that specific area so that vehicles can see people walking across the street from the left and right directions.
What is the timeline for completion of William Cannon lane expansion?
That is expected to be done in Q4 of this year, 2022.
What is the timeline for completion of Colton Bluff?
Same timeline.
What is the timeline for completion of the Slaughter East improvements?
We don't have that yet. We don't have permits yet, so we're working on the permits now.
What is the timeline for the trail road to go under the William Cannon Bridge?
Near the end of the year, possibly into January. Yeah. So the road needs to be, okay, there we go. I know what this right here. The roads need to be finished first before we can put the trail in. So once the trail's in, once the road's in, we can start working on the trail. So that's part of all the landscaping. That's part of that project. So into January, end of the year, possibly into January.
Signs like the other parks.
Yes. Yes. Next 90 days. So newer signs will be in place on the existing sign on Chrysler. So yeah, you should start seeing that in the next 90 days. We're also replacing, so for our Union Park East folks that are on the phone, you're finally going to get a sign. It'll be right at Linear Park. So there wasn't really an area that we could put a sign out for Union Park East that wasn't in front of somebody's front yard. And nobody wants a big sign like that sitting in front of their home, even though I begged and pleaded. But I would have done the same thing and said no. So we're moving that to Linear Park. So there will be a sign there, and then our Union Park West friends will be replacing your signs as well to have them match the signs that you see going up all over the community.
That is all the questions that we have. So if we've got any questions from the floor, yes.
Thank you, everyone. We always ask for feedback. We always send, questions. So I really appreciate you being open for any feedback. And you're always trying to answer. And, you must be very brave telling everyone, send everything to me. Thank you for all the work you're doing. Just a couple questions. First one is for the Skyline Park. I'm seeing there for the parking lot entrance, is that going to be from Hillock? And what's the capacity of that parking lot going to be? And again, similar question as the dog park, is it just going to be for residents? Just thinking and knowing that the cleaning afterwards, everything is going to be from HOA, which is from, what we're responsible to pay to the community. So those kind of questions, just as far as the management and maintenance of the park, I'm sure there's going to be some rules and regulations as far as how far the concerts can go. So not midnight, I'm guessing. And you can tell that I live right there. And then lastly, I don't know for the rest of the community, but Hillock is, cars are flying by. It's either the workers passing by or anyone trying to rush to the school or anything. It's just, is there going to be, I don't know, speed limit signs coming or any bumps to slow things down and, people going to the park? I would hate to see any, kids are constantly crossing the street, like.
I'll let you do the park one first. So we'll take them in order. So the Skyline Park entry.
Sure. So the entry to Skyline Park, the parking lot that you saw with the roundabout that Matt described will be on the east side of that park, and it will line up with Hillock Terrace. I think your second part of that question was how many parking stalls? I don't have the exact answer, so I'll give you a range, and I think it's somewhere between probably 30 and 40 stalls total. It's a function of, again, like most things in an engineering world, it's a calculation based upon the types of amenities and how many people we expect, and it kind of is fairly programmatic. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, lots of bike racks. Yeah, certainly. So did that answer your questions on Skyline? Okay.
And to add on, it's going to be walkable, the entire park. So you can get to everything from the other side where the parking lot isn't. So we took into the account the amount of space around the park so people can park on the street as well, which might help with your second, or maybe that was your third one about, vehicles driving quickly. Again, we don't own the streets, and I don't like to say that as an excuse. It's just a fact. We don't own the streets. So we can look at getting with the county to see if a speed sign is warranted. They definitely won't do speed humps. Emergency vehicles do not like speed humps at all. So they tend to veto that type of stuff. And I've seen speed humps go wrong in communities as well. Cars launching into front yards and things like that. So yeah. Yeah, I think there's two. Okay. Yeah, on the front. Okay. And you had one more. Okay.
Good engage with that company. Kind of small businesses like that. We want to start a restaurant or a coffee shop or something like that.
If you personally want to start one, once I get more retail spot, give me your information. I'll be happy to work with you on that. But yeah, typically we ask folks not to reach out to those individuals. They're just like any other business. They're trying to get their investment paid for by getting some development out there. I always say your loudest voice is your dollar, right? So if the retail that's built isn't making money, they'll take notice of that. So, but yeah, if that's something you're interested in personally, I'm happy to. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Do you have any new privacy options given the non-combustible fencing regulations? Or any options for people who want to in their backyard looking at the neighbor?
Yeah, how did I know someone was going to ask that question tonight? I know it's been a hot topic in the community. We are working through that. So right now, the only option is landscaping, putting up some landscaping. I know that some individuals moved into homes that they didn't realize was going to have wrought iron fencing. When they purchased their home, it was all privacy fencing. So for those individuals, I'm trying to work with them separately as a board member, working with them separately. I have to take board member and developer hat on and off. So I'm speaking as a board member. We're working with those individuals differently. And now putting my developer hat back on is we're having internal discussions about what we can possibly do and working with the fire code to what is that true distance? What can we do? We have our architectural committee, like I said, that is made up of residents that went through a few options. I've asked them to take a look at a few more options because landscaping one can be a more inexpensive and probably a more beautiful way of doing it. But it's only inexpensive if you put 1 or 5 gallon plants in, which it's going to take forever to achieve that privacy that you're looking for. You got to spend some dollars to put some bigger stuff in. And that was the other thing. Some areas you can't even put the landscaping in because I know in some of the areas, in the shared drive areas, it might be a little more difficult. So yes, we are hearing what everybody is saying, and we're looking at options. But as of now, the only option is landscaping.
Statement association of how we should handle when we find an animal, if there are numbers we should call. Also, if we have a database of people's animals, if they want to put them in there in case their animal is lost. And then finally, people are often looking for a chip reader when they do find an animal. Is that something we could have for checkout at the station?
So for the first part of that question, as far as what we can do whenever we find, any animals. We have reached out to animal control, asking what we can do. We've also reached out to some of the shelters. Unfortunately, right now, what we're being told from the shelters is it's about a 24-hour to 48-hour turnaround before they can really get back with us because the shelters are so full right now. We often have times where people will bring the pets up here and they ask if we can keep them. We don't have any place to keep them. It breaks our heart because we absolutely want to find, the parents to these, pups that are running around. But we're going to continue to see what options we have. We've got a couple of opportunities with some of even the mobile vets to see if they're able to help us in a way that we can find somewhere to at least call. Or, as homeowners, you're actually able to go on and put messages on Neighbor Network as well, just like we are, just kind of putting that information out there if it happens outside of office hours when we're here. In regards to the chip reader, I think that's something that, we could potentially, possibly look at with that. I don't know what the requirements are as far as if there's certain databases that we would have to have access to. And then again, as far as what do we do if we don't know who they actually belong to, things like that. So I'm not going to say no, but I think we just need to explore all of our options with that.
So I know as developers, you don't like working hypotheticals, but I would like to ask, ideally, what would you like to see go in the ideal school space? And what is your ultimate plan for that? If Brookfield were to relocate.
Hypothetically? Or retail?
Yeah, well, let me take this one. So what we have probably been able to rule out is another school, right? So since I've been a part of the Easton Park project, I've made it my own personal goal to really pull up alongside Del Valley ISD, build a relationship, embrace them into our community and really kind of lean in. Having a charter school in the community maybe wasn't consistent with that. So we're not looking to replace them with another charter school option. That part we can say for sure. Because of its location, it's not really a good opportunity for residential either, right? Traffic, road, proximity, and so on. So while we don't know exactly what it's going to be, it's probably going to be a commercial use of some sort. All right. So that's kind of the broad, but as specific as I can be.
All right, I saw Peach first. Or were you just stretching?
No.
Okay.
Ourselves to developers, can y'all put like a limit on what can go there? Like in the contract language, like what we would want, auto zone and McDonald's. That way y'all can limit who's coming in, who's building. And not just, hey, here's, like you said, cash is king, like you can give us the most money, you can develop whatever you want with your property.
So that, I didn't mean it by that. I mean,
Yeah.
when you, as a customer, you have the opportunity to choose who you want to spend your dollars with. And that does speak volumes with retailers. So you typically try not to paint yourself into a box. You don't say this specific company can't be here and things like that. We do say, okay, the covenant's on there. There's no XXX bookstores, liquor stores. I don't know the specific, like cemeteries, crematoriums, things like that. But yeah, on those type of deals, you normally don't say, hey, we don't want want a specific retailer themselves out there. Because then that property, and then it does come back, yeah, it comes back to, is the property even valuable? I think you guys would much rather have, some type of retail option than just plain dirt for, 15, 20 years, because we're being very specific about who and what we want there. And it doesn't help the community overall. I know some folks have a lot of issues with McDonald's. Trust me, I've heard, the comments. McDonald's to you is the same thing as McDonald's to other people. For other folks, McDonald's is an alternative and an affordable place for them to be able to eat during the week if they're not able to cook at home and things like that. So I understand it's not your personal choice, but your personal choice isn't everybody's choice. So, some folks might appreciate having the AutoZone out there and being able to get to, I don't even know where there's another one around here. But I get what you're saying. You guys want more unique stuff, and trust me, we would love to have more unique stuff out here as well. Because again, everything that draws attention to Easton Park, that's good. It is, we love it. We want folks to be dying to come live here with you. But yeah, typically in those type of transactions, you don't say, no, can't do this. You have very specific broad strokes of no XXX rated stuff and, things like that. So I saw you second, and then I saw you third, and then you fourth. Yeah, it's kind of like, dog off leash type deals. It's letting us know, or not, letting Tiffany, let Tiffany know. But it's letting the team know, what's going on. My last community, we had 13 parks trails, and there were kids out that would be doing some crazy stuff out in some of the baseball fields and stuff like that. And they can't be everywhere all the time. So it's letting the team know. And if it's, a constant issue, then they'll know what to be on the lookout for when they're out there checking stuff out. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I won't speak to that right now. But we do have, future plans, but like I said, we're not even designing or speaking about those just yet.
Back to the point I think you made, and Tiffany, those surveys that someone mentioned previously, those are taken very seriously. As we think about the next 4, 5, 6 years down the road, those surveys influence the thinking that we place in some of those amenity programming. There's some familiar faces in the crowd from Union Park East that we went through a process with them whereby we heard feedback and incorporated that feedback in design of a park. That's essentially what those surveys are too. It's that exact same feedback. I'm sorry?
9% is the response rate.
That's what I'm trying to encourage is let's try to get a higher response rate so that we've got a better cross section of opinions. But that is taken seriously, is my point, is that we look at those survey results and we take those into consideration as we think about the next phase of the amenities at Easton Park.
One background to the issue.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you were looking at alternatives and possibilities, but I didn't hear a date or a time frame when maybe people could expect to hear that. What's a reasonable?
We're discussing it now. I'll give you an update in 30 days. The update might be I don't have an update yet, but yeah, I'll at least commit saying that we'll have something in the next 30 days.
Development.
Yeah, no. It's an immediate concern that we've heard from residents. So, and the landscaping option, like I said, looking back, we know it's not. We looked at wood inserts, as one potential option, but the combustible issue came up on that. So there's a few things we're researching. What you don't want are like plastic vines and stuff like that. It ends up looking really bad. So yeah, we're definitely looking into good alternatives, even different material. If it can't be wood inserts, can we do like a poly, something that is flame retardant and, you know, last for 30+ years, if that's something we can use. Because even as a home builder, now let me put the home builder hat on. Even as a home builder, we're looking at those options and hearing that feedback. So we want to provide the best product so folks come and you know, buy that product. So as a developer, we're hearing our builders say that, and as a builder, we're saying it. So and as a association, we're hearing from those folks that are already here asking for a solution. So,
Thank you.
yeah. Did we have any questions online? Yeah.
It's coming up next to the model homes. Next to the model homes.
Yeah, those are new models. So the old models are all being sold. So that's why you see driveways being put in. So new models are being.
No, they make it.
Oh, at the end.
The we call them the wings. That's future development area. We don't have the exact.
You're referring to where the big red bench is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a future development parcel. So that will be developed at some point in the future,
Yeah.
probably towards the tail end of the community. We don't know yet. We'll probably wait until the end of the community to kind of see what's missing and what makes the most sense there, but it'll be a couple years before those get developed. Mhm. The dog park is currently on a similar parcel. That's why you see the signs that lead up there. Temporary, I think is how they phrase it.
Mhm.
That's a future development as well. But that dog park will be there until the permanent one is replaced, and the development will happen years after that.
Well, that's all the time that we have. If your question did not get answered, like I said, if you've already submitted it, you'll actually be getting an email from the community life team, more than likely myself, within the next week of getting back with everybody. For any of the questions that may not have been answered from online, same thing, I will be getting back with everybody. I greatly appreciate your time for coming out tonight. I think we're wrapping up right before the storm's coming, so hopefully everybody can get out. I hear it coming, so. But thank you very much for coming.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.